there's like two veins to do this. So you could be like, let's be bombastic about it, and let's just focus on all the craziest ideas we possibly could think of. And then there's the path that we chose for this, which is let's be grounded. Let's be like realistic about what's going on. Let's actually think about what it's going to take as SEOs for us to adapt. What are we already seeing? What do we need to do? So maybe I'll get bombastic over time. We've been doing this since '97. Started off as an SEO agency. Now we do 15 channels worth of marketing, which is so much more fun. But SEO is so central. Most of our clients are emerging. They just want really good performance. Sometimes really well-known brands also look at us and say, we also need really good performance. We step in. We do things in a different way though. We take on channels one at a time. And if we take on a channel, whoever's managing that channel from our team has spent their entire career in that channel. They know everything about it. They know everything about SEO or Google Ads or Meta, which is great to have that depth of specialization. At the same time, we have this other lens where we say, what if all these platforms from like SMS to Walmart and everything core in between was all one beautiful platform? Right? There wasn't a bunch of different companies and tools. One platform. How would we plan things differently? That's what our strategy team focuses on. And our technology team kind of brings it all together. As soon as we start working with anyone, we say, let's get access to all the marketing from everywhere that has ever touched your business. Let's synthesize it together. Let's layer it. Let's organize it. Because once we have that, we can think so much bigger. So a big part of what we'll present today is thinking about SEO from a holistic standpoint. My name is Nick Rajpal. I've been here for 15 years. I joined the company after I was SEO manager at the world's largest online poker site, which is a lot of fun. I wanted out of gaming, came to Exclusive, helped develop our solutions. First solution, SEO. We had Google Ads and MSN. At this point, so there's an alien outside your window? That's freaking me out. Okay. There's a, lost my train of thought with that one. Thanks, Luke. Built our SEO, Google Ads, conversion testing, email, Amazon, and our strategy team. And today, pretty cool. You know, in the last 12 months, we've become BigCommerce's Agency of the Year. We are Bing's Agency of the Year in the US. We are Bing's Agency of the Year in the world. We're Yahoo's Agency of the Year. We're the largest ad spend managers on the East Coast for Google Ads. It's been awesome. But I'm also the host of our webinar series, so happy to jump in.
Awesome. And I'm Rebecca Antonellis. I'm the VP of SEO and Owned Media here at Exclusive, and next Wednesday is my 12-year Exclusiversary. In that time, I've been just on the SEO team, currently oversee SEO content conversion testing, email and SMS departments. And yeah, really excited to talk AI and kind of where things are headed. So let's jump in.
Awesome. Look, I finally realized what you're talking about. These are my paintings of my dog. It's Butchki Mona Lisa. Yes, it looks like an alien Butchki, and then I've got Butchki Van Gogh. It's my weekend job. Okay, so when we first started putting this together, we thought, wouldn't it be a fun topic to talk about the click-apocalypse? Like, not AI-apocalypse, the click-apocalypse. And the click-apocalypse is, yeah, clicks are starting to go down a little bit, aren't they? And maybe people need to understand why. And because it's on the cusp of the AI shift that's happening, we said, we'll cover both. We will talk about click-apocalypse, though just a little bit. So what is this click-apocalypse? It's people looking at their historical data of how many clicks they used to get, or the percentage of traffic coming from SEO. Esteban, you just asked, are we gonna send the recording? Yes. A copy of the presentation in a PDF format, the recording, yes, absolutely. Every time. In 2021, Amazon wasn't advertising on Google Shopping. So like you could get a lot of clicks from Google. Google was just where everyone was going. You couldn't go to brick and mortar stores, everything was shut down. By 2023, very different situation. First of all, the majority of experiences on search are non-clickable experiences. Thanks, clicks. There's like SEO is not going to help us with those clicks as much as they used to. Brick and mortar stores have opened. Amazon's advertising like crazy. People are going to social shopping to find brands. And yet, SEO is holding strong. It went from 21% to 18%, rounded up 22.19. It's not a big drop considering it was going up against no one and it's going up against everyone right now. So yeah, people are a little down on the fact that clicks have gone down a little bit, but you talk to any SEO leader, 80% of CMOs are either increasing their SEO investment or maintaining. It's the right time. So we're going to ask you guys, are you going to invest in SEO during this shift? Because you got to prepare a little bit. You got to preserve that 20% of your business. Do you include Google Discover in SEO? Great question, Jacob. If you're referring to Google Discovery ads, I would say no, that would be SEM, paid ads. All right, 60% of you have already voted. Thanks for staying engaged, folks. We'll run this for another 3, 2, 1, and 2% of you said no. I'm so curious who these 2% are, but I get it. Maybe you've been burnt, or maybe you don't have an SEO investment to make. 75% of you are saying yes. Good job. I mean, for how much money would you pay for Google Ads to get 20% of your business? A lot. You've got to preserve that 20%. Oh, Matthew's got an answer. It's a cardboard sign outside my business. That is a phenomenal replacement for SEO. Yes, great job. Agenda. We're going to break this into things that we want to talk about on the AI side. First, search habits are changing, right? So we're gonna experience AI, and it's gonna make us want to use Google in a different way. Part 2, we're gonna talk about the 2 things that matter in e-commerce. There's shopping intent phrases, those like really commercial phrases, and then there's research intent where I'm trying to figure something out. So both of those are shifting through some transitions into AI. Part 3, we're gonna talk about KPIs. What KPIs should you be tracking, just in case certain things like ranking tracking goes away a little bit. And then finally, SEO doesn't stand alone. How do you make sure it strategically works with everything else? With that, I switch to my
Let's jump
colleague.
in.
Rebecca, I'm gonna do a quick thing though. Let's see if we can
Yes.
get you to control the keyboard on your own. Folks, you have to do this live. It's the only time it works.
Okay, looks like it's working. So great. So we're going to start a little bit of a history lesson, kind of see where we came from in the realm of AI, where we're going, as AI is integrated into search. Oh, we went backwards. We're going forwards. All right. So this is really what we're used to. Like before AI, this is kind of the type of search result you would expect for a commercial keyword like something like Instant Pot. And so you're seeing the organic text results that aren't really organized to work together. We're seeing a lot of cases where shopping sites are taking the top positions, and there's not a lot of sites back in the day that ranked that had more of that research type comparative shopping content. But where we're at now is Google's starting to work more of those AI-based systems into their ranking systems, is that they're seeing a lot more of these commercial type terms as higher funnel, and they're really giving the results accordingly. So, you're either going to get the brand result in the case of an Instant Pot search or a comparative shopping page in that top spot, where you'll see like guided questions and the people also ask, and then you'll get your image-based shopping results. So shopping terms are really a lot more image heavy, and the traditional text results are a lot more research supporting content and that sort of thing. So really what we're seeing is that the EEAT, the expertise, authoritativeness, experience, and trustworthiness is really shining on these commercial terms. And so have we seen this in real life? Yes, we have. So these traditional e-commerce searches are giving way towards more of those informational type results. So back in June 2022, Amazon held top results for pillows, car phone holder, surge protector. Best Buy had bookshelf speakers, and all of those are now Wirecutter results. So Google's saying, okay, when people are making these searches, they're almost implying that best modifier onto these terms and helping people go through that shopping journey, realizing that serving up just a list of products isn't the best, because then users have to click into each individual product, do their own pros and cons, versus these result types where they've kind of done that lifting for you. And so that leads us into Google Search Generative Experience. I'm sure you guys have seen the screenshots or maybe played around with the beta test. Really what we see here is these like blended responses, blended results that take organized lists, pros, cons, considerations for the products that you're looking for, as well as featuring top products, their prices, their reviews, top features. And it's just really visual, it's very informational, and it's very guided and kind of blends those two result types. So that's kind of where we're going, and we'll talk a little bit more about AI and kind of what we think will get you into those results and show you performance there. Can't move forward without giving a shout out to our friend Bing for reaching their 100 million daily active users in March 2023 with the announcement that they had rolled out the chat, the Bing GPT, into their search platform. So it's still a small piece of the pie. They did see really big growth with that announcement and with that rollout. Just as a best practice, you might want to claim your Bing Webmaster Tools. There could be useful query information in there to get a better sense of how your site is appearing for maybe more of these AI-based searches, since it's not something that's been fully rolled out on the Google side of things yet. So a little piece of homework for you. Great. And so then the last point here is just the timeline that kind of sums everything up. So October 2015, Google rolls out RankBrain to help them better return relevant content for some of those non-exact match keywords. So really a contextual AI system. October 2019, they launched BERT, and that just helps Google understand how combinations of words express different meanings and intent. And then we've also seen the SERPs change, like we showed above, where there's more image-heavy shopping results, as well as the rollout of the helpful content system in August 2022, which is using machine learning to help identify that original, helpful, by people, for people content that Google's really pushing. So all of this kind of feeds into how SEO might fit into future AI changes, but it also raises more questions like we'll talk about, like tracking and things like that. So getting more into the meat and potatoes. So prepping your content for shopping terms and AI in SERPs. So this first slide as a refresher is just an example of what this shopping experience might look like with the search generative experience. We're seeing those blended results. It's showing information that maybe you should consider when purchasing an item. And really what I'm taking away from this example that Google continues to show and that I've seen when playing around with the data is that you should really think about using and highlighting every use case for your product. So this example is someone searching for a good bike for a 5-mile commute with hills. Super specific, right? But that could be something that you start to build into those product descriptions. So think about all your use cases and highlight those within your product text. The other two elements, well, one's kind of the same, but one is getting the markup right. So have your shopping feed up to date, have it fully built out, and make sure you have that structured data listed on the site. As an aside, on the structured data side of things, we actually ran a test, or are running a test right now with a client where we added the color attribute to the product structured data on their product pages. And we're just trying to figure out, is having that product schema marked, or the color schema marked up, going to improve our visibility for color related keywords? The early answer 10 days into the test is yes, we're actually seeing a 10% lift in clicks for color-related keywords and over 100% lift in clicks for color-related keywords on image search results. So very early on in that test, but something to think about. Like, we are seeing some good results there. So get the markup right. Google uses both your Merchant Center account and what's on your site. So make sure they're both validating, that they're the same, and that you have it built out as much as possible. The other thing is what I was talking about with the 5-mile bike commute with hills, which is make sure you're adding the details to your products, but also don't neglect your user-generated content. Your users and product reviewers are going to probably be your best source of these different use cases and where Google is going to likely pull a lot of this information from. They tease their next helpful content update telling us that they're going to be looking at unexpected or hard to find places. So like comments in forum threads, posts on a little known blog, a review on a product page. So think about that, really push those reviews, push your users to write longer, more detailed reviews, work with your email team to get those requests for reviews pushed. We'll promotion for our email team. Okay. So we'll take a look back right now. So, okay, you'll do all this work right now, and you may not, AI is not rolled out yet. The search generative experience isn't rolled out to everyone yet. What do I get out of it? You know that you can get these product snippets and search results. So you're going to get your star ratings, you're going to get your review counts, your prices, your in stock. That's still going to help with click-through rates when it's published and when you show in the search result pages for that. So really important to make sure you have that in place. A couple examples on this slide. You've seen them, you love them. Make sure that those are all validating and pulling in. So another piece of homework. The other is the merchant listing experiences, relatively newer, maybe a year and a half since Google's really put more information out about these, but you have your popular products, your shopping knowledge panel, and Google Images where people can click through to shop your products from the image results themselves. So some examples in the wild, your popular products with star ratings, your knowledge panel, and your Google Images, which are shoppable. And so if you haven't done any of this, and you're like, what is structured data? Where do I start? I guess the good news is if you're on a standard platform like Shopify or BigCommerce, a lot of this comes standard. Not all of it is auto built in, so it's worth taking a look and making sure it's done properly and validating in Search Console. You can usually get plugins, or you can write it yourself, or you can use ChatGPT to write it now these days. Just make sure you're validating it in Google's testing tool. Can make things go a little bit faster. Use your Search Console reports to understand how Google is seeing this markup. I see a lot of people use the schema.org validator, which is great, but we also want to make sure that what we're adding to the site is validated by Google as well, since they're the ones who are going to be showing it in the search result pages. So talked about products. Products and shopping experiences in AI are coming up fast. What else can we do? And what other markups can we use now that may potentially help us down the road? FAQ markup, great example. We've seen a little bit less of it in the last few months showing up in the search result pages. Might be as a result of Google rolling out that generative AI beta. But here's the example of what FAQ will look like. We see Home Depot do this a lot on almost every category page, and a lot of it does show up. But if you are able to win and appear for these result types, you're going to take up more real estate in the search result. And on the AI side of things, it may help Google better understand category. Again, go back to that topical relevance and help Google better understand the context of the page. So giving the question and answer format can be useful, and it's always worth testing. We see better results in certain industries than others. So just because it works for Home Depot or it doesn't work for a jewelry store doesn't mean it won't work for you. It's always worth testing. So looking at our keyword strategy and thinking about the product shopping experience and the general category appearance experience, and people now moving from commercial searches that have driven to shopping historically and are now going to more Wirecutter type sites. What does that mean for your keyword strategy? So Whereas before, we may have wanted to target those specific products or like general category terms. Now, those advice-oriented searches may be our best friends. You know, we want to focus on building out more research and supporting content to help shoppers make their purchase decision. Why should they choose your product over someone else's? You know, if you serve multiple options of a product, you know, which one should they choose? Which is help them make that decision, help provide that comparative content. And really, as you build that content out and get more granular, that's going to be what makes you eligible for some of those featured results, that like featured 3-pack, I guess, in the top of that, those AI results. Awesome.
There's actually a few people have asked, are we going to cover non-shopping? And the good thing is, I think that was the portion that was most shopping centric. So while we won't go through use cases of like service related, much of the majority of what's left is going to apply to non-shopping as well. So for Carolyn and for Corey, who asked those questions before.
Yeah, I'd say the rest is non-shopping. So thanks for staying with us. Last 2 slides, at least in this section, thinking about topical authority. So if you're familiar with it, if you're not familiar with it, it's just this concept in SEO around making your site the go-to place for one or more topics. And these topics are very granular. Really, you just want to effectively and naturally use your entire keyword universe and really just expand that keyword universe. You want breadth, and you really, really want to focus on depth of content. Obviously not excluding any sort of quality of writing that content in an effort to get any sort of quantity up. But really, you just want to be able to prove you're an authority of the topic. You know, if you're selling those phone chargers that Wirecutter's now ranking for, probably not going to outrank them, but what you can include in your site for people who are buying your phone chargers are, you know, different uses for the different wire lengths, the different voltage types, you know, pros, cons of the different plugs, like which adapter plug type fits different phones. Like it can get pretty granular. So just think about that. And if you don't already have a resource hub or a blog that provides that helpful content for users as to answer their questions during that purchase cycle, then consider setting it up and starting to think about what topics would be most beneficial in your niche. And maybe why we're talking about this a little bit more now goes back to the slide that showed the AI continuum in Google. So we have semantic search, having topical authority on a specific topic or kind of keyword universe, helps those AI algorithms like Hummingbird, like BERT, prioritize that semantic understanding of keywords as people are searching. It helps give you that contextual relevance. It gives you lots of opportunities to do internal linking between your different category pages, product pages, and resource guides, just to help Google better navigate through your site. Gives you that content quality again, and depth and quality, and then that personalization. So as we think about AI and how it generates results for different users, it does take into account your search history. So maybe just because your content doesn't appear in one personalized result, it may show up in another personalized result, which may be a better fit for you anyways, if they've maybe visited your site in the past or something like that. So give yourself a chance to be visible for those types of searches and appear for those queries. Okay, KPIs. Pretty much the last section I have, and then I'll pass it back over to Nick. So thinking about the goals that we should set for SEO, you know, now that keyword rankings are not officially dead, but you know, they're probably going to die as AI takes over more of the search result pages. How would we measure success of this channel? So we look at our overall visibility. You'll still get your impressions in Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools. That's really going to track how many of those long tail keywords that you've written on your articles to try and capture that topical authority, and the work that you've put into building out your product description and all of that, getting those impressions and measuring all of that visibility is going to be a great leading indicator to the success of your SEO program. We talked about the death of keywords, and now we're saying, hey, use your keyword footprint, but it is kind of a nice supplemental metric. As a third-party option, you could use something like SEMrush. Obviously, there's limitations there just because of their database size. While large, it's like there's not an infinite number of keywords they can track. Or you can just use the Search Console API and pull down your queries that have delivered impressions or clicks to your site, and tally that number up, and that'll give you a sense of the reach that you're getting for as well. And then thinking past just traditional conversions and revenue purchases, you can see through the continuum of changes of the search result pages that the SEO is no longer going to be that like first and last stop for a purchase. Like Nick said, there's over 15 channels that people are investing in and users are engaging with before making a purchase or filling out a lead form or something like that. So think about the quality and the experience that you're providing your users, and maybe consider pulling in things like click-through rate or time on page, or even email captures as another metric to look at, rather than traditional revenue, since SEO as sort of that first and or last destination for a conversion probably isn't going to happen as often as it wants to.
And we've been through this before. We lost all our keyword tracking in Google Analytics. You learn to pivot. Maybe some of the tools like SEMrush will catch up, but it's good to start preserving your benchmarks. There's a lot of questions that have already been asked, and I'm going to ask right back to those people who've asked questions. Can you wait for 15 minutes? We're going to get into a deep QA at that point. So if that's okay, then we'll hold those questions till QA. But we do have a new technology that Rebecca, myself, members of our business insights team have all worked on together, our marketing, our sales team, and it kind of covers 4 key areas of SEO that, since we've been doing this since '97, we've kind of honed in on like 4 cursory measurements that if you could look at those, you almost have a sense of how much you can grow the revenue on the SEO side. So we built this tool where you just raise your hand for it, and we can run it within like a couple hours. With 1,500 people signed up today, maybe a little more than a couple hours, but we can identify if you've got this massive upswing possibility. You think about everything Rebecca's talked about thus far, SEO still preserves one core thing, which is we are now preserving, instead of content that will just rank on its own, we are now doing the same type of things as source material that Google will use in its AI results. But we still have to follow the same path as up to date as possible. So like if your product data was not being communicated through HTML markup, you're not up on the times, but you've got to get your source materials out there. So it's a free scorecard. It's a yes or no question. Do you want us to go ahead and run this for you? It's got really good insights. My favorite is the relevance differential. The relevance differential is something we discovered 7 years ago. We found that if you take your highest crawl authority pages, those are your top navigation pages, and you write content in a very specific way, then the right keyword density, the right depth of content, you don't over optimize, everything is perfect in terms of grammar, you're going to see roughly 20% of your keywords on page 1 for your entire site. So you do like one thing, one particular technique, and 20% of your keywords now are on page 1. That's the relevance differential. So one of the first things that we study for anyone who wants to work with us is, what's your current differential? If it's 5%, we've got a 4 to 5x increase that we can yield together. So thanks, folks. The vast majority of you said yes. We'll go ahead and reach out. It's a lot of people to talk to. We'll talk to you soon. Let's talk about SEO being more holistic, especially in this age of AI where everything's starting to come together. This AI result is not just an amalgam of text and like third-party research and shopping and whatnot. It's also ads results and things like that all coordinated together. So why do we think we should look at things in a different way? From our standpoint, SEO is one of 15 channels. We should learn how to work on them all together. 10 years ago, it was 6 channels. We used to treat the next 9 as like secondary, but no, they're important. So we say instead of trying to plan everything one channel at a time, what if we started to plan in ways that could be applied to every channel? If you go back as far into history of marketing or you go as far into the future of marketing, you look at any well-made marketing plan, you look at any good marketing platform, they're all built around this concept that we should enable the marketer to get in front of a cold audience. That's awareness. So you need a plan for that. If someone is showing interest in a category, got to get in front of them. That's consideration. Someone's been to the website, they're engaging, hit them with conversion marketing until they buy. They bought, get them to buy again. That's loyalty. They bought, ask them for a review, a share, a like. That's advocacy. And they all help each other out in this beautiful virtuous cycle. But they can all have their distinct strategy. And when you have that, you can apply that across 15 channels at a time. You got to organize it though. So say there's essentially 4 pillars of strategy. There's a competitive strategy. How do I know if I'm doing the right things to compete? Investment strategy. How do I calibrate my investment to hit my goals? There's a performance strategy. How do I make sure I'm not too short-term thinking or too long-term thinking? And there's a messaging strategy. I built my business for a certain type of customer. How do I know I'm even serving them? How do I know they value what I'm doing? We'll go through all this. So this is how we guide our clients. We suggest first you should know your competitive strategy. And there's one of 2 camps. So think about this from your brand's perspective. If your customer can say, I'm in the market for your category, but I'm only going to buy from brands that I know in that category. I'm not going to buy anything outside of that. I'm buying a car. Unless I know the car company, I'm not driving my kids in it. That's a brand-based journey. Luxury, priced items, electronics, insurance, running shoes, usually brand-based. So now the onus is on you as a marketer. If people will not buy outside of the brands that they know, you got to invest in that awareness. Everyone has to know you. Then when you show up, it'll make sense. Things will click. But if you're in a market where, you know what, people will type in a categorical phrase and they're open-minded. They might know 1 or 2 brands, fine, but it doesn't mean they're going to buy from those brands. Price, quality, what they're willing to sell, that all matters more. That is a search-based journey where now the onus is on you as a marketer to just show up at the right time when someone has indicated, I'm looking for category X. You show up, great. If you keep increasing how much you show up, your business grows. If you pull back on how much you show up, your business pulls back. So think for a second, is your competitive strategy search or brand? And now add it to one more thing. What is your investment strategy? Now, if your investment strategy, let's say you're a search-based journey, if your investment strategy is intended to just have the most efficiency possible, then all you've got to do in a search-based journey is show up when people type in your category, so the high investment consideration, and then stick with them until they matriculate to become a customer. That's pretty simple. If you need to increase your growth at the cost of efficiency, then you can invest a little more in awareness, loyalty, and advocacy. And it's a different playbook for brand-based. Where you fall determines where you are going to invest the majority of your SEO source material investment. If you have to be very high on awareness, your blog content is going to be a higher percentage of your SEO investment. If consideration is the go-to, your category pages and your resources must get the most attention. And if conversion is important, which it should be no matter what, your homepage, your product pages, and even your coupon pages, that tail end moment should be performing as high as possible. Even in the AI world, that's going to be critical for you to plan your prioritization according to your business strategy. So in terms of that prioritization, wondering what each of you, most of you here are business owners and decision makers, right? You're thinking about the big things that impact your business. I know there's a lot of SEO practitioners here as well. This is a little bit more strategy. Cameron's asking once again, standard versus alpha. Alpha is very invested in growth, so you're investing in things that are less efficient. And standard is just only invest in the things that are efficient, high return on investment at the cost of growth. So I'm going to close this in 3, 2, 1. And it makes perfect sense that the majority of you are search-based and you're thinking either standard or alpha. When we do a webinar with Klaviyo, for example, or Yapo, where they've got really high customer lifetime value, amazing brand awareness and loyalty, it's the exact opposite. The vast majority of people in those webinars are brand-based. It's nice to see that people already go towards naturally the playbook that they should follow. But if you identify the playbook in clear terms, in a clear rubric, you can do so much more. When you're trying to maximize efficiency or you're trying to maximize growth, you're doing this in awareness, consideration, conversion. Your consideration side can really get a lot of value from coordinating your SEO and your paid at the same time. What we did was one of our reports in our system shows from Search Console where you rank for a keyword, and it lines up with what your cost per click is for that same keyword. That's pulled from Google Ads. So each one of our clients can see those, all the keywords lined up. But we started to take some clients and just do data dumps and look at when you rank really well for a keyword, does the ad rank formula follow the same thing as Google's what's called node rank formula, which is their organic listing? In other words, the work you do to rank well organically, can it give you a discount on your ads? And the answer is yes. As you go from an average cost per click for paying for keywords you already rank for versus not rank as well, all the way down to page 5 ranking, your cost increases by up to 64%. It's a huge savings. What's your performance strategy? If you have invested in a great business model, you've been growing year over year, you have this wonderful customer lifetime value, you've got cash on hand, you should focus mostly on long term. Keep elongating your CLV, your customer lifetime value, calculate your cost per acquisition, and get super aggressive with scaling what is working well right now. But even in a case where you want to go really heavy on long term, you can't miss the short term. Short term is measured by one fulcrum KPI, marketing efficiency ratio. It's all your marketing dollars divided by all your revenue. Other short-term considerations in your strategy should be investing in innovation, like AI is changing SEO, I've got to invest in it. Testing new channels, and running new messaging tests. But while you're preserving your short-term goals, especially in a tough economy where people will say, that's my key right now. Don't forget, if 20% of your business is coming from SEO and AI disrupts that 20% nugget of your business, one of every $5 your business relies on, then you've got to invest in it. You've got to focus on all that content, those feeding the source materials, the markup, which is going to be a big part of AI, and trial and error, especially because through Google's heuristic algorithm, AI is going to show up different from one category to the next to the next. So you can actually preserve those short-term numbers. Do you have benchmark data on MER by industry? Yes, we are producing that. We can reach out after it's not in here. You're thinking healthcare. We don't have as many healthcare clients. This is more, we have benchmarks based on our client base. But we do have health product clients, so there is something there. We have a few healthcare clients. Final is messaging strategy. And this is a big part of AI SEO because it's very much like what should I prioritize that will further me with my market. So what's a messaging strategy? You typically start off with who are my segments, list them out. It should be 2 to 3 clean segments typically. Describe them. What is the segment? What customer intent signals would I look for in Google Ads, Meta, TikTok? What keywords would they type in? What's their customer lifetime value? Demographics, psychographics, and who aren't they? And finally, what values that I've built as a business are meaningful to segment 1, 2, or 3? What products are meant for segment 1, 2, and 3? This is the foundation of a messaging strategy. The next thing we encourage is using the age-old principles of consumer behavior to get each of your segments to activate, to act. There's 4 modalities in consumer behavior. If my segment is buying from me because we make them feel really good about themselves, they're going to pay a premium, that's competitive. There's an SEO approach for that for AI. We'll get to that. Social. Buyers in this segment need help. They're going to read a lot of reviews. They want to know the best of categories. They need support. Spontaneous. My buyers want to get in and out. They want to save a lot of money. They're looking for what sales are hot right now. And methodical, they have an idea of specifics and criteria that we need to meet in the purchase. So when you're building your SEO strategy, let's start with competitive. You got to focus on your brand, its story, its founders. But from an SEO standpoint as well, you've got to emphasize phraseology around your materials, your quality, luxury terms, because AI is going to do a lot of roundups. Hey, Google, tell me like the top designers for luxury products and cashmere sweaters. They're going to round that up. Have you not provided the signals that they need? You won't show up. Spontaneous. These are, so a lot of people are asking if they'll get a recording. Yes, absolutely. And you'll get a copy of the presentation. Spontaneous. These are buyers that are looking for a great sale. Invest heavy SEO resources towards your promo pages, your sale pages. That means content and crawl access to the top navigation. And optimize for what are considered low-end terms, like discount, cheap, on sale. Google is going to get a lot of questions. Where can I get a pair of cargo shorts on sale right now? You're going to get surfaced to the top. Social. People are trying to feel their way up a learning curve. They don't know how to make this purchase. You develop guides and how-tos. You want to make sure your reviews are coded beautifully. And yeah, I agree on the cargo shorts, Matthew. No to cargo shorts. Um, you want to make sure you're getting lots of reviews, so coordinate that with your advocacy strategy through email and SMS, but make sure you're getting those in there. A lot of the early search results from search, AI beta is that there are a lot of review listings showing up. So feeding reviews will be really helpful. So that's your AI angle there. And you've got to track that. Methodical, remember, people have criteria. So optimizing for an established rubric, like Rebecca was talking about, expand your topical authority to the depths of the qualifiers that matter: size, color, material, price, fit, and just assume that Google's AI is going to start giving better and better inroads to filters. And would you like to qualify these results by color? So prepare for that. And just curious, if you know what modalities apply to at least one of your segments. Do you have any competitive buyers, social, spontaneous, methodical? This is one of my favorites. You get the wrong modality and your return on ad spend can be okay. You get the right modality and your return on ad spend is untouchable. And that's across the board for all channels. SEO plays such a big role in that. It closes out in 3, 2, 1. Surprised by this, the most popular modality is methodical. So much SEO required for this methodical side. We love competitive luxury brands, 17% social, 11% spontaneous. Spontaneous is a tough one. Nice to see what the collective of your peers is thinking here too, right? So just keeping in mind also when you're doing your segmentation, virtually every platform allows you to segment, so it can all be coordinated. Google PMax ads, Klaviyo, Amazon DSP, they all have ways to form segments. So when you're organizing with that and SEO, keep in mind the overlap here. So first of all, blogs will be central. Blog, topical authority, will be huge in AI SEO. And if you're showing topical authority for a keyword, we've already seen this, it is likely to also prompt your shopping ad in association. So if you want shopping ad visibility and you've got topical authority through your blog, you're going to get better overall visibility. You can use your blogs to drive awareness for each segment, and that's top of funnel you can remarket to. They'll be shared on social, and we're seeing Google care more and more about the shared content and surfacing it in AI results. And you can get more popularity by circulating your blog content to your segmented newsletters. If all your marketing is cleanly segmented, now you can study your segments. What keywords does segment 1 type in? It's part of your planning now. What audience signals are showing the best response for segment 1, 2, and 3? Study those signals. If the signal is that people who read Motor Trend magazine have eight times higher likelihood to buy from me, figure out what Motor Trend magazine covers. And then you want to make sure that you also check your social organic posts for content ideas. So last thing as we go into these questions is, are you interested in us studying your business and coming up with a holistic strategy? So I know a lot of you are competitors and many of you are in non-e-commerce, so maybe you don't see us as much of a fit. Totally understood. Thank you for joining either way. Um, but the process that we do here is we try to figure out your search versus brand, align with your CLV, your MER goals, your search or standard versus alpha. We develop segmentation. We dive deep into your SEO, your Google Ads, etc. We put together a full plan. We don't charge for it. It's the foundation of our partnership moving forward. So if you qualify, when we go through this process, it's only a few meetings worth of your time. You'll get the most optimal recommendations to put your business on track to compete and hit all your goals. Helps. So we've been doing this since 97, but mostly because we have a good strategy playbook. Okay, we have lots of questions. So when is Google going to transition to the new AI search methodology? What are your thoughts, Rebecca?
TBD. No, I mean, they haven't, to my knowledge, announced a date. It's still in beta, which all the more reason to start thinking with an AI focused lens. Give yourself a little bit of a head start for when they do eventually roll that out. Let's see, can we post ChatGPT content on the official website? So on your own website, you can. I wouldn't recommend throwing the raw output on there. Our content team has experimented with it and it never reads fully human. There's always, especially if you're doing more like informational content like we've been talking about, there's always going to be inaccuracies in some of the content. Like you have to fact check it. You have to check that it hasn't been duplicated from another source. So I would say yes, with some caveats that you need to give it that human lens before it goes straight on the site. Amanda asked if we can be provided with the slide deck after the webinar. Yes, we'll get this in the recording over to you all. Where's the best place to find my keywords? Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I tagged you for a few of them as answerer as well.
Oh, okay, you want me to go through those ones? Yeah.
Yeah, I just when you get a chance.
Yeah. What SEO testing tool do we use? So we use Split Signal, which is SEMrush's testing tool. And then the test I was referencing with the color structured data, we could do that through the Split Signal, but in this case, we just hard-coded it across all the pages on the site and are doing period over period and year over year comparison in terms of the lift in color versus non-color keywords. So either way, you can use a testing tool or you can kind of apply it to a full set or a segment of your products as a test. Will AI produced content or by people content be more trusted? I mean, by people, but how? So the debate is, right, how will Google know if a person has written it other than a computer actually wrote it? I think along the lines of what I was saying before, where I think you can get a good part of the way towards content for your site using these AI tools, but to make yourself stand out and to meet that EEAT, especially the experience and the expertise portion, it's going to need that human lens and it's going to need your own input. Otherwise, it's just the same information that's already out on the web repackaged separately. So I would say if you need topic ideas, things like that, use ChatGPT. If you're completely stuck on an outline for something, use that to help with it. But in terms of the actual content, I believe you're always going to perform better when you have a human writing it. Let's see, did I miss any?
We got lots of questions and I could take a few real quick.
Okay.
We just got about 10 more questions in. Liz asked, do you think niching down is still a good thing? or not on topics, if we need to show more expertise on a topic. In other words, is niching down too much becoming more of a problem? Um, I think niching down is fantastic. You want to show up for the most qualified visitors possible, and it does seem like Google is going to get better and better about surfacing not just the most popular brands for categories, but the ones that fit the criteria better. Especially with BERT and some of the changes that Rebecca was talking about in the continuum, you're going to have a much better approximation from Google's standpoint to find who is more niche. And it goes with the next question that Liza asked, where's the best place to find keywords I might be looking for my content? Rebecca worked with our BI team, a business insights team, to develop one of the most fascinating and helpful technologies I've ever seen, where if you have keywords that a page of yours ranks for, instead of taking those keywords, then looking up those seek keywords on your competitors' rankings through an API, it automatically says, check the keywords against these competitors, seed those keywords through, expand the keyword list, and in a moment's time, you know all the keywords you've ever ranked for on that page and every keyword your competitors have ranked for in the same vein, and you can choose from that. So instead of 45 minutes of work, it's done in a second. So I love that. So powerful. I'll take one more. What is your advice
Yeah.
for an e-commerce store that's not earning customer reviews? Uh, you've got to get it engaged on your email, on your SMS. That's going to be your first source. Do not give up in terms of your workflows, your post-purchase workflows. Optimize the hell out of them, knowing who not to ask for reviews based on complaints, based on delivery it hasn't happened yet, things like that. If you can get your workflows to be redundant and qualified, your reviews are going to start to move up. But that's your first stop, no matter what.
Awesome. Miguel asks, do you think the rise of AI generated content will increase the amount of competition on the SERP, allowing smaller sites to scale their content? Yeah, 100%. There's going to be more competition. So I guess that's a way to think about the AI generated content as well. So if everyone else is using it to generate their own content, how are you going to stand out? You're going to have to give your own personal lens to that content to make it better. And then think about the user experience too. Don't just be posting your blocks of content on your blog, add videos, add images. Think about how the content itself is structured with headers and things like that. Just back to the 101 stuff, but definitely more competition. So focusing on that quality is going to be important. Which AI tool is best, ChatGPT or Bard AI for content writing? I mean, I think they both have their pros and cons. I would test them both within your individual niche and see which one you think gets you closest to the end product that you're looking for. We are primarily using ChatGPT, not for content. We're still, well, in special cases like bulk product writing for an upload of 1,000 new products just to get something on the page, we'll use AI, but for the most part, we're using ChatGPT as a way to just outline, like I said, the posts and get us started in terms of the topics to cover, and then using our content team to finish the rest. So yeah, play around and see which one works best for your site. Nick, did you want to take the next one?
Yeah, I've marked you for a few more. Let's see here. You mentioned at the beginning that SEO clicks are down since 2021. What is your opinion on the main reason for this? We give a few reasons. One, that there's a lot of non-clickable SEO now, more so than ever before, and that the advent of that really took off in 22. Brick and mortar is a bigger option, and people are finding products not through the same means as they used to, which is I know the category, I'll search Google, let's see what happens, or I'll search Amazon. Now they're finding out about brands and using their disposable income through social media as well. But like we said, against all those odds, it still is holding strong from 22% of revenue down to 19%. How will videos factor into AI search? Google has done a pretty good job of transcribing YouTube, for example, but I don't think we have completely tested. I haven't seen a lot of SERP results show video in a compelling way that is not just using titles yet, but I do think transcriptions, Google's transcription technology is going to be making a lot of headway there.
Mhm.
Uh,
I'll answer the image question. So how do you optimize images using AI? Honestly, that's not an area we've explored a ton. I would say there's a few different ways to look at optimization, right? You can think about like alt text file naming, all of that, or you can use AI to help you write the code to compress the images or format them differently. So I don't really have an answer for that right now. It's a good question, something I'll look into. Let's see, one about reach and tracking keywords to understand your footprint. What tool methods process would one use to organize all the raw queries in Search Console? On our end, it's a combination of either using, so it does pull into our business insights platform that Nick talked about a little bit at the beginning. So we pull all that in and we store it in our business insights platform. So while Google gives you 16 months, we give you as much data as from when you signed on. And so with that, we can track the total number of queries driving either clicks or impressions to your site month over month. So you get that complete graph versus SEMrush where you would just be limited to their own database size. So
yeah, and for starters, we automatically have a logic that separates your brand keywords from discovery keywords from conquesting keywords for your competitors. That's a good starting point. And then, of course, for the discovery keywords, you want to start breaking down by the category or brand or segment.
mhm.
Few questions here. A lot of pushback on AI, like the WGA writer's strike. Um, While much of Google's AI is built on prior tools, without such controversy, is there concern about a potential social rejection of AI in SEO? So it looks like Google is going to take an approach that is not embracing AI created content as much in their AI results. So we keep these things very separate. If when we wrote up what we were going to cover in this webinar, we're very clear not to say we're going to teach you how to use AI tools because we want to help you guys rank well in Google's new AI system. But unfortunately, those AI tools are not really made for that. We're seeing that if you can write an article on your website that is all about the best way to shop for a category, you can do it easily with ChatGPT now. And as a result, and at the same time, Google is saying, well, Wirecutter's not going to do that. Wirecutter's going to have real writers. And this goes along with if you write content, you've got to have an authorship markup that points to an author page that talks about a human author. You've got to timestamp your updates. You've got to source your materials, which ChatGPT will not do. Google's figured out these ways to kind of separate the AI generated content world from the thoughtful human world. And it seems like they've taken a stance on that in favor of the vision that the WGA writers' strike has of the world. Are we in the matrix? Only if you see I cap twice. How can small websites possibly compete? I don't have a cat. How can small websites possibly compete in organic results with higher authority domains that are churning out lots of content and have more resources? Louise, it's a critical question of investing in SEO always. My perspective is this: SEO is a financial investment like everything else. There's a critical threshold of credit that you want to see from Google before you say, I've got enough credit, time to invest. And for me, that's always been very straightforward. You have at least 2,000 keywords ranking, and less than 15% of those are on page one. That means you've got enough credit from Google to be competing, but you're not giving Google what they want. And those cursory metrics that are indicative of ready to, like what we call our criteria fit, we have one for all 15 channels that we market. The criteria fit for SEO will probably change, but right now it'll hold strong for a long time. Remember, when you go to Google, you've got normal Google at the top, normal Google at the bottom, and AI Google in between. Normal Google still exists, even in the beta. So you still got to hold strong on all that. And I can,
I see one up
sorry,
a little further. So what impact are these changes having on inbound linking, which is an interesting one. I see it going two ways. Maybe it'll go both ways, right? So one, great job for the companies who are building links, because now they can just generate all this new content without having a huge writing staff. So with that, will we see Google crack down more on artificial link farms? We'll go back to Penguin Land, maybe. But on the flip side, as people are writing and potentially using AI to generate all of this additional content, I would hope that they would also source the places where they are pulling some of this topical information from. So there could be more natural links generated that way as well. So my guess is it'll probably go more towards the link farm end of things, but there may be cases too where people are properly sourcing their new content.
yeah, and I'll put this in context of history without dating myself. Around 2007, we saw caffeine go live, which is basically just a faster way of indexing the internet. And pretty quickly after that, there was this understanding that if you write content, you're going to show up for your keywords. And Google, that in 2009, created a rule. Carrie Grimes, who runs the indexation team, she created a rule that basically said, well, if you've given us content, but it's the same content as someone else, like people learn to copy content from each other, then only one of those multiple duplicates can rank. So then the SEO world responded and said, great, we can create unique content. We'll develop spinner tools. It's like early AI. Give us a paragraph of content. We will swap out certain keywords, restructure the sentence. It's unique. So Navneet Banda wrote an algorithm that said, well, now we're going to grade your content as if we were English professors, and your spinner content is horrible. So you're done. Spinners are dead. So every time there's a loophole that's exploited by SEOs, the search quality team is going to find a simple way to target it. There was another question. Oh, Liza, can you repeat the comment about keyword search? So we have our own technology to do that. So it's based on SEMrush. So if you didn't have our technology, this is what you do. You'd say, I'm optimizing page X. What keywords do I rank for? So if I write new content, I don't de-optimize. You take some of those main keywords and You run SEMrush again for a competitor, and you filter down to those keywords. Say, what do my competitors rank for that include that keyword? So you're seeding your keyword into competitors' rankings, and now you grab those ideas as well. That might take you some time. In our system that Rebecca built, it's done instantaneously for every page.
Let's see. I see at the bottom just a question on where you see if you're ranking for 2,000 keywords, if Search Console only shows 1,000. In that case, you can either use the Search Console API, and that'll allow you to pull down more than the 1,000 that's within the platform, or on our end, we use SEMrush, or you could use something like Ahrefs or any similar keyword tracking tool, which will give you an idea of the overall footprint of your site.
Awesome. You guys have hung back with us for an extra 15 minutes. Matthew, the shelf is from, I think, Pure One. Thanks for asking. Um, but folks, I know that everyone came to this webinar with slightly different expectations. It's a topic that stirs up uh, a lot of thoughts that we've been thinking about since we've been watching the Terminator movies. We have unique ideas of what this is going to mean for each of us. We tried to keep this to a scope, but hopefully that was a meaningful scope. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll get another webinar in 2 weeks, as we always do. See you then. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Rebecca. This is so helpful. Best
See ya.
webinar I've been to in a long time. Oh, thanks, Cameron. Appreciate that. That's amazing. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Happy
Bye.
Wednesday, everyone.